Let me
Okay.
be honest. I wish I could say I was like this in my 20s. That's a lie. Or in my early 30s. That's a lie. This is the profound epiphany in my 40s.
Okay.
I just realized one day that I'm taking care of everybody else. Now, I was fortunate that I have amazing parents, and they instilled a lot of self-love in me. I felt as though my shoulders were broad enough to handle a lot of things. But when the silence, when everybody was down, I realized that I had taken care of everybody except myself. I realized that I had to stop.
Greetings and welcome to the Elevated Flow podcast. I'm your host, Coach Flo, aka the Black Rowing Queen. The Elevated Flow podcast spotlights elite and everyday female athletes over 40, sharing how they elevate their game and their flow in sports, wellness, and life. These are powerful stories of strength, resilience, wisdom, and inspiration to help women stay active, age strong, and pass the torch to the next generation. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Please help me welcome Miss Susan Stevenson. How are you today?
I'm fabulous.
Awesome. I love that. Fabulous. Yes. All right. Well, let me give you a formal introduction. Susan Stevenson is a wife, mother of 4, and accomplished financial educator and consultant, holding 2 master's degrees and serving as a trusted financial fiduciary. She blends academic excellence with real life and real world experience. Her foundation in collegiate sports drives her leadership, discipline, and mission to guide clients towards financial clarity, confidence, and long-term success. Yes, Miss Susan Stevenson. Let's get right into it. She already said she is fabulous.
Damn.
So let's do this. Okay, you're a financial fiduciary and educator with 2 master's degrees. Tell us about the work that you do today and the impact you're making.
Goodness. I am honored to serve people. I love to serve. And the work that I do is to honor everyone's hard work. I educate my clients to understand money. Who works without money?
Right.
We trade, and we wake up every day to trade our time for dollars in some capacity. But often those dollars are not working for us. So as we kind of journey through life, there's this void, which I noticed for myself and then my mom. And I've kind of always been in this space. And I just realized that, my goodness, we're not being taught really how money works and how we should put that money to work for ourselves. So the work that I do today is just to empower truly anybody who works hard for their money and who is struggling to declutter the noise around investments and opportunities. How do you block the noise out and actually look at what is actually working? What systems have been in place for decades, for centuries, that the wealthy have always used to not only secure their wealth, grow their wealth, and pass on their wealth. That has been, listen, we know how to make the money,
Right.
but most know how to keep it to work for us. So what I do now really is just empower folks that you can have your dollars do more than one job and you can live out a purposeful, driven life without being stressed financially.
Okay. So do you specifically work with women or you work with everyone?
Anyone who earns a paycheck, anyone who I do not discriminate, but I would say I am a little bit biased. I think a lot of women tend to relate to me more. It's funny because even if I do a workshop of men and women, the man is always like, I know it all. And then it's the woman that secretly comes behind, gets the information from me and says, honey, you need to hear this information.
Okay.
And then the guy now comes on board and says, well, I didn't know that. Because a lot of us, I'm humble with my degrees. My knowledge and everything that I've gotten outside of my degree is where the real life experience comes in.
Right.
With 2 masters, I did not learn about money. I did not learn how to put money to work for me, where it is serving me, and I'm just using it as a tool. But 90% of my clients, they start off as women if they're married, and then they bring the men into the mix.
Okay.
But I do work with men as well.
Okay. So, what do you think is the biggest barrier for women to gain financial clarity and confidence?
Mindset, the ability that they can
Mm,
do it. For such a long time, I didn't grow up in a family like that, but just for a long time, when I meet a lot of my girlfriends or just women in general, I've been the housewife. Even in our age, I have girlfriends my age. They're housewives. They're taking care
okay.
of a kid. Especially one of the children is a little bit autistic. They're the ones that can only deal with the I don't want to say low income jobs, but you know what I mean? Like they're capable of maybe earning $50 to $70 an hour. But because of the flexibility that they need, they become substitute teachers or
Mm.
they go into social services, which it does pay. But if you don't have like a master's or PhD, you're not going to see that kind of. So
And
a lot
sometimes
of
even with a master's degree.
Exactly. A lot of women are just like stuck between a rock and a hard place. I had the baby, I had some complications, I didn't go back. So the man kind of handles a lot of the money, or more importantly, they have not been empowered, right? To feel as though they can help themselves and their family. They feel as though the man knows it all, he's the head of the house, and I'm just supposed to toe the line. So
So, you said the most important thing is mindset. Can you talk a little bit about this? Because I know that research shows that the mindset, the money mindset that we have is really developed in our childhood. And it's based on the things that we've heard our parents say. And even though we may not have it in the forefront of our mind, it is kind of the driving force of the way that our relationship with money. Can you talk a little bit about that?
yes. So a lot of our money habits were kind of ingrained from us growing up. So we kind of inherited that mindset. Depending on what type of a household you came from, if it was that of a scarcity mindset, you kind of grew up with that mentality where it's okay to be frugal, but you're so frugal that you are using money. You're not using money as a tool like it's supposed to. You're not understanding that money has to move to serve you. You're not comfortable with some of the investment strategies out there. So that mindset from youth kind of carries on into adulthood. And until you run into somebody like me or someone like you who deals with mindset, for them to understand that the way you were brought up is not indicative of how you have to live your life today. So
Absolutely.
sometimes we have to make a little pivot, not 360. 360 gets us back to the same
Right.
point. We can do a 180,
I love that.
right?
180 financial, right? Okay.
Yes. Really do. And that business is just really stems on educating, right? We just need to make a 180 with how we think with money, how we relate with money. Now, if you grew up in a family that everything was handed to you, we've seen this. Well, what do we grew up being entitled? Well, I can have this. Well, I always had this. I never
Right.
had to work for it. So, and then you realize that, oh, it doesn't work that way. Or mommy and dad don't longer have that job. So now you actually have to go and work. But then even though you're working, you were never empowered with the mindset and the skills to know what? How to put that money to serve you. So what are we doing? We're doing the hamster wheel, working rags to riches, rags to riches. So mindset is really huge. That is like the biggest thing that through educating a client, I always tell them, please just be open-minded. Be open-minded that what you have been taught or what you have heard is so contrary to what the wealthy are actually doing to grow your wealth. Because as a Christian, I truly believe all of us have a divine purpose. And he said, if you are working, you shall eat. So the notion that we're working and some people are still struggling to eat is because we're missing a fundamental piece, which is the mindset on how to relate to the money we're earning. So mindset is very, very important.
So it's very easy to say the word mindset and transform your mindset and all of those things. But what are some ways and what are some tangible things that women can do to transform their mindset? Because just saying, "Oh, I need to change my mindset," that doesn't really say exactly what it is that they need to do to transform it. So what are some tangible things that women can do to transform their mindset? If you're listening right now and you're thinking, Coach Flo, I know I need to get moving, but I don't know where to start. Or you've been moving, but you feel stuck. Maybe you hit a plateau. This message is for you. I created a 21-day Get Active, Stay Active challenge just for women like you. It's simple, it doesn't take much time, and it's doable even if you can only work out at home. This challenge is designed not only to help you build strength and momentum, it's designed to build confidence and consistency without feeling overwhelmed. Every day, you'll get clear guidance and small, powerful steps that add up to big results. By the end of the 21 days, you'll not only feel stronger, you'll know exactly how to keep going. So if you're ready to take that step, join me. Click the link in the description to join the challenge. Your future self will thank you for it. Now let's get back to the episode.
Great. Excellent question. One of the first things when I start to talk to just anybody, but especially women though, is you first have to believe that you deserve more. You have to forgive yourself for your shortcomings because part of this, you're going to learn so much that you can almost get upset at the people that you love the most. So you literally have to allow yourself, give yourself grace, is what I say. The first thing is to understand that you don't know it all. You want to be coachable. You want to take guidance and heed and just be open minded to learn that what you have been conditioned to think is different. So the first thing is acknowledge where you are. Do not compare yourself to others. That is the greatest stealer of life is comparing yourself. My girlfriend is this and my classmate is this. It's funny because this is like the foundation of a series I'm going to get ready to put out to just help people understand the first thing is I need help. I could be doing better. You first have to acknowledge
Yeah.
I can do better because a lot of us actually make a lot of money, Coach Flo. Do you know that to be in the top 50 percentile of everybody in this great nation, which means you're living above a whole lot of people, all you have to earn is $50,000 a year? I have people who earn six figures, double six figures, but yet they feel poor. They don't have cash flow.
Right.
So you have to acknowledge that something is not right based on what I'm earning and how I'm living. It's not mashing up.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that the next thing I tell you is it's important to know which trimester you're in. And when I say trimester, as women, we're going to relate to this. Now, some of the men may, some of them may not. And it's literally saying there's a trimester when it comes to our finances. And I equate this to childbirth because, like money, we have seasons with our money, right? If you are pregnant as a woman, the care you get in your first trimester is different than what you get in your second trimester, and is different in what you get in your third trimester. So we have an earning phase in our lives. We have a protection phase because when you earn, you must protect. Then when you protect, you grow and then you pass on that legacy. So you have to understand where are you? AKA for me, I went through a divorce. So as much as I had earned a lot of money and I thought I was more in that growth phase to elevate, to live a legacy, life knocked me down a couple of steps. So I back to the earning phase, but I had to accept that that's where I was and I did not shame myself. I had to move back in with my mom with three kids, but it allowed me to be honest with what was going on and start to put safety nets that I had missed the first time so that going forward, even if life happens, I'll still be okay. I'm happily remarried to say, but I have safety nets now that even if that did not work out, which is not, it's going to work out because this one was, God put this together, right? And we're both better folks, better people where we
Yeah.
are now. There are safety nets where I would not, if anything, I can stumble one step back. But where it was on a scale of 1 to 10, and I was at a level 9 going on 10, I got knocked down all the way to 4. That is the story for so many of us. And it doesn't have to be. Once we understand what phase we're in and we understand the safety nets, the measures we need to put in place, how we need to anchor our foundation financially, mentally, emotionally, physically. I say health is wealth, right?
Absolutely.
It makes it very easy to navigate life without the stresses. Even at my lowest low, I suffered no stress.
Now that's amazing.
I did not compromise with my health.
Yeah.
Health is, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have good health, you can't enjoy it. So I tell people it goes hand in hand. So believe it or not, most of my clients, somehow we end up on health because when you have your money right, you're not stressed.
Yeah.
You can actually dedicate time to yourself. You don't feel guilty splurging on yourself because we have planned accordingly to address that. It's no longer, I wish I could go get my nails done, or I wish I could pay for personal trainer. It's part of your ecosystem that we have budgeted for so that you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that because I was thinking, people might be thinking, well, wait, I thought this was about sports, but I am completely about holistic wellness, but you hit the nail on the head. When your money is right and you are stress free, then that health is wealth. That is
As
what
well.
is important because if your money's not right, you're not going to eat right. You're just going to eat whatever is available. And a lot of times that's why people are in the predicament that they're in as far as health is related because they can't afford to eat the foods that are good for them or they live in a food desert and all of that. So it's extremely important that we talk about finances as it relates to holistic health. So from there, we're going to go back because you guys, if you've heard this podcast early, like, some of my earlier episodes, I talk about the fact that 94% of C-suite professionals, women, played a sport. So this is a professional woman in the financial area, and she played a sport. And then 52% played a collegiate sport. So I know that you played a collegiate sport. I said it in your bio. But take us back. At what age did you start playing sports?
Competitively in high school. In middle school, you just played a little local leagues, but competitively, I did not start running track until high school, field hockey, and soccer. So those were the sports that I played. And then I played track. I ran track and played field hockey collegiately
Okay,
for a
so
D.
talk about a little bit about that. Were you recruited to college for track?
I was. I did get a scholarship to
Okay.
go to school and field. Absolutely.
Okay.
That was it was an interest. It was fun, right? I loved sports. It was just one of those great. I didn't like the practices. Let me be honest. Even
Mm.
today, I do work out, but I hate to work out. When I work out with my husband, I don't want to be bothered. I'm one of those folks. But I know it's a necessity. So I just loved to compete. So the practices, I was not the great. I showed up, but on the field when it was competition time, it was a different. I know.
Interesting.
Today I'm the same way. Like my husband and I, when we go to work out together, we can't because he wants to talk to me, and I'm just like, no, I just need to get this workout and be done with. Like,
Right.
I do it out of necessity. I didn't do it for fun. I don't know if
Mm.
that. I was fortunate that running track for me in high school and being a collegiate high school athlete and a collegiate athlete was fun for me. It was actually fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed traveling, enjoyed meeting new people. So it was great. But I was recruited to run track and field and field hockey for Penn State.
So when you were in high school, was that your goal to actually go to college on an athletic scholarship?
No, it wasn't because I actually also got an academic scholarship.
Okay.
But as I got to be like a sophomore, I made the freshman, A team for track and field. I made soccer as a freshman, the varsity league. So I didn't really think of it. It was more like as a sophomore, junior that I really more as a sophomore. I had two amazing coaches, Joe Thomas and Tony Holland, amazing, amazing high school coaches. And later on, they started to say, "Hey, if you keep it up, you can go to college on a scholarship." And I said, "Okay." It really didn't change how hard I worked. It didn't change because for me to run track, I had to have good grades. So, and I maintained, I think, like a 3.9. I had like 1B in high school. So I knew that at least on the academic side, I
Mm-hmm.
would be okay, get some merit money.
Mm-hmm.
But then marry that with a track scholarship and you don't have to pay for college.
Especially Penn State.
So here's the funny thing. When I got accepted into Penn State, that was the year there was this whole scandal where the football team, most especially Penn State, they over recruited. So, back in
Mm.
the day, the budget was one. So the football team got access to that budget and over recruited. So when it came time, I had a scholarship to go play field hockey at Penn State. So when it came time to finally do the awards, well, guess what happened? There was no money for field hockey. So they had to, that's where Title 11 started. So that's where they started to say, hey, no, you have to appropriate the same amount of money for female sports as you do
Title
for.
IX. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I was going to
Yes.
mention that. That is awesome. And that was
Yes. So
that.
I ended up that so with that said, I said, "Oh, I'm going out of state." My mom, although my parents were separated for some time, I'm like, "Do I want to put this burden on her?" They're like, "Oh, if you come the first year, you have to pay out of pocket, but we'll make sure that the second year we're in state." I said, So last minute, I had applied the only in-state school I applied to, which was University of Maryland, Baltimore County. It was like as an honors college. They gave me. I was able to use my. I had a full academic. So when I went to UMBC last minute, I made the track team as a walk-on, but
Mm,
then the next 3 years, I got a scholarship from them because I was so late into the game because I was on my way to Penn State on
mm,
a scholarship. So I did run my freshman year. I had enough funds to cover my academic and room and board through my academic scholarships and merits. So then my sophomore year, when they awarded me scholarship for track and field, I got a refund check back.
mm. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So,
So
what was that experience like running track? Because, I'm a rowing coach, and Black women, the Black girls that I'm in contact with and I'm in a group with, they talk about their experience in this non traditional sport of rowing. But track and field is one of those sports that you would consider traditional track. Volleyball, soccer, basketball. What was that experience like being at Penn State?
No, I was at UMBC, I apologize. I
Oh, okay.
ran track at UMBC. Penn
Okay.
State would have field hockey. It was great. My teammates were great. Our coaches were not that great, unfortunately. My freshman and sophomore year, we did change a coach. My junior and senior year. But overall, the experience was great. Listen, it was a job. You woke up 6 a.m., you were out on the track, at the indoor track. Then you go lift weights, then you go to your classes. Then when you finish your classes, you're back on the track field. So it was a full-time job and this was year round. And the commitment is definitely there. The discipline is definitely there. I know some folks says, "Oh, you got a full ride to college." It's a job. And then on top of that, I worked on
Mm,
campus. But it was fun. It was a great experience. You win some, you lose some. But the good thing for me is it builds character.
thank you. Yeah.
And I learned and I told my husband, I said, listen, I don't expect our kids to be great at any sport. They would try as many, but when they get to high school, they have to pick one sport, one instrument, and stick with it. It
Mm,
gives you a different level of discipline that life itself
absolutely.
not part of a team sport. Because track and field was a team and individual, right? Field hockey was straight team. Because you're going to learn to rely on people. People are going to learn to rely on you. You're going to develop what we call thick skin when you get disappointed. You may
Mhm.
put your best foot forward and still lose. How do you handle all of those things? Because it starts to build character. And when you start to learn to um, handle all those emotions, it makes you a better person. So when life starts to throw you curveballs, guess what? I know what this feeling feels like. I need to have enough, I like to say mature, emotional maturity to
Yeah.
deal with it. I'm in a team environment. I'm not in an I environment. So the way you handle yourself in a team environment is very different than when you handle it in an I environment. So it was a fabulous experience. Difficult, but fabulous.
Now, what would you say is the difference? Because you said, oh, it was a job, so you got a scholarship and everything. But what do you say about how kids are being recruited now and the whole name, image, and likeness like that
Listen,
really puts the pressure on them as far as money is concerned, because these athletes now are
that.
being able to get paid.
I wish it was for a time. Some of us will have a little bit more money now, but no. I think it's honestly fair because this colleges and schools make a lot of money off of these players. The only thing like anything is that where I wish to be able to get in front of these players or have a program for these kids that is not indoctrination, but true financial information so that if they are being recruited, one, you stay humble. Two, if you will get paid, make sure right out the gate you have safety nets because a
Yeah.
lot of these kids, when they start so early, they think the money is always going to come.
Right,
Then
right,
the real
right.
hurt, the money stops. Then all of a sudden, now I'm depressed because I was used to this lifestyle, which you worked hard, obviously, because you were good. However, somebody did not educate you enough to say, cherish the moments while they're there and make
Mm,
sure position to if things don't work out 5 years, if you wanted to be in the sport, how do you say, hey, I earned this amount of money in my youth and I put this money to work for me. So even though I'm not earning as much as I could for the name, image and likeness, at least when I look back, I don't look back with regret because at least I can see that money working for me and I have access to it.
Right.
So what we're seeing is a lot of these kids getting, $1 million here and there. But if they don't make it to the NFL, which a lot of them don't,
Yeah.
then now you see them on the front of the news. They did something stupid because they're trying to keep up with that quick influx of cash that came in when they were not prepared, or they did not have the system in place to prepare them to absorb that. I think it's great, especially on the collegiate level,
Mm-hmm.
because this schools, they just make so much money, and this kids, including me, we dedicate a lot of time and hours, and just getting a free tuition and room and board. It's great, but to get paid for that too is even better.
Right, right.
I'm happy that that's available because I'm telling you, these schools make billions of dollars off of these kids, and most of them used to get nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the fact that they can get something, it's fabulous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you talked about being involved in the sport. It builds character, it builds discipline, it builds leadership. What are some core principles and characteristics that you feel like you've translated into how you teach financial education?
Patience.
Mm,
Patience. Because in teaching someone, especially when you've been so conditioned to look at money in a two-dimensional view, and here comes somebody who says, no, I need you to look at it in 3D. And in 3D, you're seeing every corner, every angle from just one shot. It's hard for someone to conceptualize it or visualize it. So it takes a lot of time. I read this amazing book where it says true leaders lead from behind. And when I meet
mm,
my clients, I just say, hey, listen, the only difference between you and I is that I'm just a few steps ahead of you, but you can get there. You can do exactly what I'm doing. However, what I'm not here to do is argue with you. But what I'll do is I'm going to listen to you and see how I can make sure that the information that I know is factual, not speculative, facts like math. 1 + 1 is 2, right? Not 2.5, as we can, I can use a ridiculous equation to disprove that 1 + 1 is 2. It actually does exist. But nonetheless, it's really to have patience with the client. And even as a leader, you have to have patience because my goal is not to convince you against your will. My
mm,
goal is to educate you. A true leader works with their subordinates, works with a group of individuals to help those individuals realize their greatest potential.
mhm,
And what I've come to realize when I work with clients is everybody has their strength and everybody has their weaknesses. I focus on your strength. I never focus on your weakness. If you have a weakness, I just find somebody who has that strength,
mm,
right? So when it comes to finances, some people can't budget. So guess what? Let's use an app. I don't like a lot of the apps because it put things on autopilot. But if you're great at saving, but you just can't go back, I'm back. I went back to old school, writing things down, taking a few minutes to review it. If you can't do that, well, listen, it's okay. We can use this app. So you got to meet people where they are and find out where their strengths are and let them shine
mm.
where that strength is. So from just being a leader, I think those are like one of those two core characteristics for me is to be a straight shooter, be patient, and be willing to coach and lead from the back, not from the front. Most people think they have to be the person in front all the time. No, for me, I lead from the back.
So, being that you played a team sport, how do you see the way that you relate to your clients in terms of like if you have a couple? And do you ever use sports analogies to teach financial literacy?
I sometimes do. I do. So I normally would sometimes ask them, like, what sport do they play based on, for example, one of the examples I use, it could be cooking or basketball. So when I try to explain to clients, because as a financial educator and consultant, your money has to be warehoused somewhere. Right. And when it's warehoused somewhere, it has to be with an institution, a bank or an insurance company or a mutual company in real estate holdings. It has to be warehoused somewhere because that money has to move to serve you. So I would tell people that what I focus on is a process. You have in financial education and consulting, there's two things. There's a process and there's a product. And often a lot of people are driven by product, right? They have an attachment to only do Schwab's product or Fidelity product or Vanguard. Now I worked for Vanguard for 18 years. That's my background.
Okay.
So I would say, hey, what sport do you like to play? Somebody may say golf or they may say basketball. So let's just use golf. I said, great. I would say if you did a scratch up and you won to go and do a putt at the Masters, and if you sink this 20-foot putt, you're going to earn $1 million. And you were given two options. You have Tiger Woods. You can wear Tiger Woods' finest gear and have his best club, his best putting club, or you can have a 2-hour training with Tiger Woods right before you go and you take that shot. If it was basketball, hey, do you like to think about Michael Jordan? Do you want the Air Jordans, his whole outfit? Or do you want to wear Chuck Taylors from Payless and have a one-on-one coaching session with Michael Jordan, right? So which one would you have? You have to pick one. And if most people get it, they'll say, I would rather take that one-on-one coaching. That one-on-one coaching is the process. It doesn't matter what shoes you wear. But if Tiger Woods tells you the technique, how to soften your knees, how to flick your wrist with golf, how to, square your hips. Or Michael Jordan says, hey, listen, when you hit here, this is how you do a jump shot. This is how you should release the ball. This are, look at the back square when you play basketball. If they worked with you for 2 hours, right before you have to go sink the shots, you could go barefoot. You can wear flip-flops, right? Have the technique. That's what matters. And that technique is the process. Now, the ladder, the gear, head to toe, is the process. So we've been conditioned to look at products rather.
I love that. Yeah.
So when you understand the process,
You
you will
don't
know how
lose that. Yeah.
you don't lose that. And then you know what to look for in a product to make sure in the process. So I have to get you to understand that this is a process. It is a system. And when you put that system in place, when we have a plethora of products to pick from, it's super easy to know the ones that you just weed out and the ones you need to go to, that when you align it, you have nothing but success.
I love that.
So I tend to use that analogy to kind of drive down what I focus on with my client, which is that process is educating and understanding how that money works for you and how to protect that money to always serve you. We will have to use some product, but that's not the key. If you don't understand the product and the why and the process, product doesn't matter. And that's the problem. We're suffering. We're all running to products. This stock, that stock. How many people went and bought the game stock and they lost a lot of money because it was inside trading?
Right.
So I do use, that's one of my favorite ones that I like to use, but I use some other ones as well.
Okay.
It's easy for me as an athlete.
Yes, absolutely. So what would you say are some leadership traits that still guide you today that you've learned from playing sports?
Emotional intelligence. Sometimes on the field, you try to intimidate your opponent. One of the things that our coaches always did was allow us to have, even when we were losing. I mean, we've had some major comebacks, not only in field hockey, but also in track and field where, we dropped the baton at the Junior Olympics championship, but we still picked up the baton and finished in the top 5. Mind you, we dropped the baton in a sprint. And the mindset of just not giving up. You just don't give up until you cross that finish line. No matter what's happening to your right, to your left, even if it's you keep going. So from a leadership standpoint is that when you find yourself in that role, you have to lead your team or you have to lead your organization to the finish line and let them make sure that they're okay where it is before you branch off. So that's one of the things that I do with my clients. So even after we've, sort some things out, it's a continuous check-in for me. It's not a one and done. It's not transactional. You build relationships. So I think good leaders know how to build relationships.
Awesome. What would you say what kind of athlete would you say that you are today?
I am that athlete that is staying in shape, right? Not for looks, but for health. And I'm that athlete that does not believe in, as I would say, killing my joints to be in shape. So I'm very mindful of the exercises that I do. I do believe in weights, but I also believe that our body weight is significant enough. So I would say I'm not the athlete of my collegiate years where I'm, out running and doing plyometrics. And even if I were, I'm doing it on a low impact, right? I found myself doing a lot of push-ups, a lot of dips, a lot of walking on an incline, a lot of mobility moves, strengthening my hip flexors, my
Mm.
ankles. So stationary moves, but really slow and controlled. So I could do a 30-minute workout. I was working out with my daughters actually on Monday. We started this journey together. I said, I can't keep waking up and working out and then complaining that they're not doing what they need to do. I need to show them. So we wake
I
up every
love
day
it.
at 6.
Yes.
And all we've been doing is like, it's this mobility workout, which is just based on stretching and strengthening those supporting muscles. And
That's
after
good.
20 minutes, my daughters they dance very well and they joined the wrestling team and the other one does volleyball. It's like, Mom, I'm sweating. I didn't think it was going to be this easy. When we see you, working out and we just think, "Huh, what is she doing?" My daughters actually said, Mom, we respect you now. Because when we had to do moves, I had stability and balance. And they were like, the legs were like,
Mm.
why aren't you holding those legs up? They're yours. You should be able to control them. So that's kind of where I am. Once in a while, I love, it's called Body Pump by Les Mills.
Mhm.
It's a combination of cardio and weights.
Okay.
Um, that at least 3 days a week. And then the rest of the time, I really focus on core, lower body moves, isometric type
Mhm.
moves where,
Mhm.
you really hold it down. So nothing crazy. I love tennis.
Mm.
So when my family in town, I do play tennis. When I used to live in Philadelphia, I rode once. This boathouse row is tough.
Right.
I have when they're rolling and it looks so easy,
I
I'm
know,
like,
right? It looks so beautiful
you
and
guys need to be like,
graceful.
we real expression. You make it look easy, and then we get in there, and halfway in, we're like, I was like, this is like, guys, I don't have it in me. So now the rest
Yeah.
it's tough, but it was an experience. It
Mhm.
was an experience. Something I would do again, but I would try to make sure that I'm in a little bit of a better shape so that I can actually hang.
Now you talked about your daughters. You say you have 2 daughters, right?
3 daughters,
3
3.
daughters, 3 daughters, excuse me. So how do you juggle being a mother, being a wife, being an athlete, being a financial fiduciary? How do you juggle that life? And
Taking care of myself first.
I love it.
I have me
So
time.
many times as women, we take care of everybody else first, and then we take care of ourselves. And it's like that being on the airplane. You got to put your mask on first before you can help someone else. Talk a little bit about that.
It took me a while. Let me
Okay.
be honest. I wish I could say I was like this in my 20s. That's a lie. Or in my early 30s. That's a lie.
Mm,
This is the profound epiphany in my 40s.
okay.
I just realized one day that I'm taking care of everybody else.
Mm,
Now, I was fortunate that I have amazing parents, and they instilled a lot of self-love in me. I felt as though my shoulders were broad enough to handle a lot of things. But when the silence, when everybody was down, I
mhm,
realized that I had taken care of everybody except myself.
mm,
I realized that I had to stop. So normally, first thing in the morning, 5:30 to 6, it's my time. My time, even my husband, he knows it's my time, unless it's an emergency. That's my time to meditate. That's my time to listen to, to have my one-on-one. I'm spiritual, to have my one conversation with God. It's my time to kind of map out my day on what I want to do. And even sometimes during the day, even when my kids come home, sometimes I'll say, Mommy's in timeout. I just had that
mm.
call or somebody got on my nerves, I would just say, Mommy needs to be in timeout because I don't want to take that frustration out on my family.
Yeah, that's good.
So I just realized that for me to show up the way I want to show up for my family in a very loving, in a very supportive way, I needed to give myself that exact same love and support.
That's good. And I'm glad you found that out before. I mean,
I know.
after 40 is fine, but before it's too late so that you can
Yes.
actually demonstrate that and model that for your daughters, because that's extremely important. And speaking of modeling for your daughters and your family, being a mother and a wife, being that you were a collegiate athlete, what was it like, or what has it been like for you to translate that over into how you cook? Because you said, okay, now before you were working out, you wanted them to work out, and now you've joined them with you, But how does that translate over into how you eat? Because I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, where a lot of the diseases and things that we experience as women and people, I mean, blacks,
Mhm.
is related to the way that we eat. So I know that being a varsity athlete, competitive athlete in college, you had a nutritionist and all of that.
Yes.
So how did that translate over into
I
being a
have
wife
been
and mother?
really fortunate, believe it or not, most of my family is not obese at all.
Okay.
So my grandmother, we come from a whole bunch of cooking stuff that grows from the ground.
Mm,
So I grew up originally in Cameroon, West Africa. I came here when I was 10. What most people like, chips was not the thing for us. It was like fruits and vegetables. So I learned chips here. But even though I ate a lot of those things, our diet is one of just learning to cook hearty meals. So being a collegiate athlete, that just kind of continued, right? They taught us about nutrition, how to eat, what not to eat, especially when you're trying to reach your peak performance. All
right.
those things matter. Now they didn't, say you had to be this weight. They really, I was really fortunate when it comes to my athletic career that I had good people that never was like, oh, it's your weight, or it's your look, or it's your size. It's more just empowering you with education so that you can make those smart choices.
That's
So
good.
by choice, I just knew when to eat certain things and when not to eat anything. Literally, during my pregnancy with my twins, my first set of kids were twins, I only gained 30 pounds. And as soon as I gave birth, within 6 months to a year, I was back to my size 4'6".
Girl, don't most women wish. She said
Yes.
6, 4, 6. What?
Likewise I gained more weight with my second than I did with the twins, but the weight came off again because I just eat well, right? I hate to tell people I love food, but I also know that I want to eat food as my medicine. That way I
Mm,
don't have to a medicine as my food. So at my age now, which I'm in my mid 40s, I really focus on making sure that, especially Monday through Friday, I eat clean. If it's not in my house, I'm not tempted to eat it.
mm,
And then on the weekends when we normally have family night out or have date night with my husband, now I'm not restricting myself or making myself feel guilty. Food is supposed to be enjoyable. I come from a culture of food. So this notion to count calories, to count food, to weigh your food, I do not want that to be my life. I know. I had a great cousin, even as an adult. She says, and she's a nun, she says, listen, if you cannot pluck it from the earth and put it in your pot and cook and eat it, you don't need to eat it. So
mm.
hence, like when you think about the chips, the processed things, it may be a byproduct of corn or byproduct of some vegetable,
A
right? Like veggies.
potato.
Eat
Right.
make the real thing. And that's what I'm struggling with that a little bit with my daughters.
Mm,
But they will pick food over snacks. But when they get lazy, they
mhm,
will still run for the noodles, right?
mm. Oh,
So
not noodles.
I'm struggling with that balance with them because they are teenagers now. So puberty is full fledged, just trying to teach them. And the best way to teach is by you doing it. And we all wear,
Absolutely.
the same size. I say, girls, we wear the same size. My daughters come into my room and get my size 2 pants and wear it to go to band practice. Yes. So I'm telling them, if you go past size 2, not that, they're growing women. It's not about your size, it's how you feel.
Right.
And that's the thing. I know of, big boned women who are very healthy. Their numbers look good. I just need you to get used to eating. We're such in a fast, everything pre-cooked, everything pre-made. We have cooking nights at our house
Mm,
where we actually get stuff and we chop them up and we cook.
nice.
It's an art that's quickly dying because we're so busy. We can be so busy that we run ourselves to the grave quickly because we're comfortable, right?
Right, right.
30, you can whip up a healthy meal that you could be proud of.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. I eat relatively healthy. Now, my husband, on the other hand, he's healthy, but he has a sweet tooth. I don't. But he loves his cookies. So as long as you're matching it with the gym, and he does, right? So there's a level of intake versus outtake. And it's balance. You
Mhm.
have to just tell yourself it's balanced. If you had junk food on Monday, you have no business having it on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. If you've got a whole week, it's all been junk food.
Right.
Something
It's a problem.
it's a problem. No, you're right. So many of our diseases can be reversed. It's just what we put in
Absolutely.
our.
Absolutely. It's
So
based on what we
I do
put
my
in
best
our.
cooking and I can still cook. My meals have to be 30 minutes and under from start to finish.
Really?
And yes, start to finish. I can wake up, quick stir fry, fajitas, rice in the rice cooker. And that's what I'm trying to tell my kids. It's like, even though you come back from class and you're super tired and there's nothing, there's always something in the freezer. There's always a vegetable that you can whip up very quickly. But you know what also saves me? I do meal prepping.
Yeah,
So
that does save you. Absolutely.
yes, there's some meals that we've prepped so that if it's in one of those crazy weeks that things are just life is life, and as I like to
Right.
say, to that freezer, pick up a pan, put it out there, defrost it, and you have a healthy meal. The same time it'll take you to make those oodles and noodles is the same time it'll take you to heat, a healthy meal that you will actually eat and be full.
Right. Right. Right.
It's tough with the teenagers, I'm telling you. Their kids are it's
I know. I had a teenager once. I had a
they do
teenager once, but huh?
They do grow out of that phase, but
Yes,
it seems so
absolutely.
long, and I don't wanna rush it, but it's like, man.
Yeah. I started with a teen. Well, you talked about going on timeout and meditating and spending time, being the spiritual, having your spiritual time and going to the gym. When would you say that you are in your elevated flow state?
Ooh, right after I work out.
Mm,
After I work out. Why? It's normally the second or third win for me of the day, right? My first win is waking up. My second win is praying, just thanking God and my third win is exercise, moving for 30 minutes. Body has to move, whether I'm walking 2 to 3 miles, I'm just stretching in the floor in my room or stretching with the kids doing that is a win for me. And once I do that, is a huge elevation for me. So in my bathroom mirror, I actually ordered those chalks that you can write there. So I have some affirmations and I have must move 30 minutes a day and I have Monday through Sunday. And when I check Monday and when I wake up in the morning, first thing after as I'm brushing my teeth, I look up, what do you think I say? Gotta go. So today it was like 27 degrees and I was all loaded up to go outside. And, ooh, I just went right up the steps and I did some movement, good workout. I did sweat, and then I went inside in my sauna. I have my husband had bought us one of those portable saunas, which works amazingly,
mm,
and I do that. So I am in my flow when I wake up with a win, and the win for me is just being consistent and waking up, being grateful, thanking God, and then exercising. When those three things happen in that order within my morning before I sit down to start to work or start to deal with the kids, I'm telling you, the rest of the day, no matter what happens,
mm.
I'm just like a magnet to say, yep, I want this good attention or good, good vibe. And then here, like I'm the opposite side of the magnet. I'm
Right,
like,
right, right. Repelling it.
yes.
I love that.
So I would say that's when I'll be in my flow.
Okay. All right.
I'm a morning person.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We have talked about a lot. I want to move on to our last segment, which is our passing the torch. So I think that it's important that we pass the torch, our knowledge, our wisdom, our motivation, our inspiration, our wisdom, all of that to the next generation. So what is something important, whether it's financial, holistic wellness, movement? What would you say to a teenager that may run across this podcast or to your teenage self, the importance of movement and how it plays a part in your longevity?
Just they say I don't have to go too far. I look at my kids and I tell them that you only have one body. It's only one. They say you only live once. No, you live every day, you die once. Right?
Mm. Oh, I like that. That's a
So
new thing. I don't even know what that means, but
I
I
know
know it's
my,
like
my daughter, my
when it's
daughter
something good, you do like this. Oh, still don't know what that means, but
still working
anyway.
on 6 sevens. But I would tell my younger self and my daughters, truly speaking, or any teenagers, that you truly only have one body. And the way in which you treat this body is the way it's going to show up for you.
Wow, I told somebody that today. Yes, yes, I love it.
Yes. If you love it and if you care for it, it would serve you well. If you
Absolutely.
neglect it and you don't care for it and you just treat it like a passing anything, it too will go away from you. And that may just be some illness, some, you know, aches and pains. Unfortunately, I have a cousin, I know a family member who just had poor health, poor eating habits as a teenager that carried on into adulthood. And they're having so many issues that
Mm,
a 20, 30-year-old should not have. That's like issues for an 80, 90-year-old. But this
mm.
is somebody chronic pain and immune issues that just stem from truly poor eating. So I just tell them, listen, it's okay to have a cheat day. I love my ice cream, especially Haagen-Dazs, coconut, pineapple coconut. Listen,
Very
anywhere,
specific.
anytime, I'm very specific. My husband knows that is my Achilles heel. Like that's my weakness. But I said, listen, once in a while, if you want to binge, that's fine, right? But just remember that you have to balance it out. It's a balancing act.
Right.
You're consuming all these calories. Somehow you have to figure out a way to get it out. You have to create that time. So just be kind to your body. Love your body. Treat your body like your greatest prized possession. Think of something that you adore the most. Treat your body like it, and you should be just fine.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
Mm.
So, what would you say to a woman 40 and over, maybe in her 50s, 60s, 70s, that feels like, you know what? That exercise and stuff is for the young people. I'm too old. I'm tired. It's too late to play a sport. It's too late to start lifting weights. I'm
Mm-mm.
good. What would you say to that woman?
It is never too late. It is just in your mind. So whatever fear you've had, whatever stigma you've had, because those stigma going to the gym and looking at the young ladies next to you that are all fit and they're in your 20s and your 30s, like I said, do not compare yourself. For everybody that can hear my voice that's over 40, your goal every day is just to move your body. It could just
Yeah.
be going outside and walking.
Right, right, right.
30 minutes. And then you will increase it. Then you can add some arm weights. When you see all this extra hit things, people jumping here, hanging there, no, no. I
Right.
promise you, you can be super healthy in your body that's your desire without killing yourself. But more importantly, like what you do, Coach Flynn, I'm sure you have a great community. Find a community of people who go on group walks or who do rowing like what you do, or a class. And it doesn't have to be these crazy classes. Sometimes
Right.
it's just going and dancing. Put in music, put in your best music in your house for 20, 30 minutes, and you are just grooving like you are at the club by yourself. Your
Right.
body's right. It's good, but truly just move your body. It's never too late. The key is the small things you do every day is going to compound. And I was every
Consistency.
day, consistency, a journey of 1,000 steps begin with one. So just start moving. That's it.
I love it. Well, you heard it first right here. Just move. Just move. All right. Thank you so much, Susan. I really, really appreciate you being a guest on the podcast. Now, where can people find you online so they can work with you if they're trying to get their money right?
Sure. If you go to info, www.180 financialsolution.com or legacytaxtruth.com. You can find me. I think I'm Sue underscore good vibes on Instagram for now. And like you, I thank you for having me on your show. I did listen to a few episodes and it's such a common listen to when you're driving. So thank you for putting your voice out there. I
Oh, thank
do
you.
really like it. It's a nice, you bring a different flow to the nuances of people's day, right? It's a good conversation that sometimes we often don't think about. So being able to listen to you is great. I wish you much success.
Thank you.
I plan to share more of what you're doing, and I look forward to more episodes
Awesome. Yeah.
to hear more phenomenal women stories.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this is Coach Flo signing off. But if you want to hear some inside scoop with Susan, go ahead and click that button to join the private community, the Patreon community. We're getting ready to go over there right now and talk a little bit more. So if you want to get involved with that conversation, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon community. Until next time, this is Coach Flo signing off. Remember to find your zone and elevate your flow. Peace.
1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.